life was actually really good. You know, my dad is an alcoholic, but he was a functioning alcoholic. So we had things, he did things, you know, it was like we did spend some time with him. He was absent of variety too because of his alcoholism and workaholism. And then my mom, she's the complete opposite. She's very easygoing. She's very like straight-laced, you know, she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke cigarettes, she doesn't do anything. So, and all of us kids really, we had kind of everything we wanted. By the time I turned 17, I was a functioning alcoholic. I worked full time, I drank full time, and pretty much, you know, as an adult. At least I felt like I was. And then I met a man who was 31. I was 17. And I just thought he was the love of my life. And I stayed with him, got my first apartment with him, drank with him. After a year of being with him, I started doing pain pills with him. And that just slowly progressed. Well, after about 2 years of being with him, and everything was still, you know, so perfect, we got married. And shortly after that, got a house, had a baby, and we were functioning pillheads, I don't know, functioning drug addicts, I guess is how you call it. And we kind of had our lives together, at least we felt we did. It just slowly took us in a downward spiral. When my daughter was she would have been a little over a year old, I got pregnant with my son. And it was like the worst feeling in the world because I was so into active addiction at the time that I couldn't stop. It was more important to me to continue doing the pills and the meth and Suboxone or whatever I could get my hand on. Thank God he was okay. Unfortunately, he did have fetal withdrawals. We go to a friend of ours to make meth. Well, we had found a babysitter for my daughter, but we couldn't find one for my son because he was very clingy and he would cry if I wasn't around. So we ended up, instead of canceling that or staying home, guess what was more important? You know, I went and made meth. Well, we walk into the person's house and there was like a chemical that's used, it was sitting on top of the wood stove. My 1-year-old son at the time, you know, goes straight over to that, grabs that jar, and it spills on his belly. Like, I was sick to my stomach about it, but my worries were more on the drug than they were on him because that's how important at that time in my life that drug had become. I took care of the wound myself. Thankfully, you know, it didn't get infected or anything like that, but somebody called CYS and they came, and because of not taking him to the hospital and everything else, like, that's whenever they got taken from us. I guess I really had to think about like what is best for my children right now. You know, I had all these hopes of I can do better and I can get them back. But like when I sat there and I really looked at my life, I was like, this is ridiculous. I need help. I'm not doing this on my own. I finally was I was admitting, I was taking responsibility, like I was ready. And that's how we found the Grace House.
Ashlee was really interesting because I do remember her application. And I remember looking at the fact that she had been through Teen Challenge. And I knew a little bit about that program and how intensive it was. And I saw that she had successfully completed that program. And so I can remember my first thoughts were, wow, if she could do Teen Challenge, she would do pretty well here. And so in my mind, you know, she was very outgoing, but I was trying to figure out what are we missing? What's going on that's not allowing her to live free of substance abuse? Our experiences with Ashlee is that she would be on extremes, you know, extremely competitive, right? So I could walk into the house any day and it was almost like she was going to challenge me to an arm wrestling. You know, everything was really competitive. But I think it was just balance. I think it was just giving herself grace and not having to be perfect.
It was like a turning point for me because I was like, at that time I was living life my way, you know, and that's the biggest thing that you learn is that your way obviously is not the right way. So it's time to listen to somebody else. So the hardest struggle that I dealt with at the Grace House, and it was a good struggle, was the denying what I wanted and doing what I was supposed to do. So once you learn, you know, I can't have what I want when I want it, and you start to accept that and live by that, that's whenever you can have big things happen in your life, and it's like you don't just jump to the bottle or drugs, you find other ways. I am 100% a different person on and off drugs. And I'm not a bad person. Like, I've learned that and I've come to accept that, and it's an amazing feeling because it's like, you know, I feel like I'm worth life, you know? And in that time, like, I didn't think I was. So I used drugs and it completely stole me, what I could have been and stuff. Instead I did nothing. It stole forever that bond that I could have had with my children, the relationship that I should have had with them. You know, I should have been there for everything and I wasn't. And that's something that you can never get back. And that's hard.
With every woman or every person in addiction, there's this place where you have to make really hard choices. And you really have to confront the things that you've not been willing to confront. And there were some really specific times where I saw her truly confront. And I can remember being in a really lengthy counseling conversation with her and watching her just struggle. And I think that was a moment where she was just, you know, I felt like Ashlee really showed up and the issues really had come to surface and the internal struggle that she was experiencing was really evident. And I can remember after that conversation, you know, to be honest, not knowing what the outcome would be. And to be honest, when that conversation comes up with most women, it's where they hide. That openness, honesty, and willingness that is essential for every recovery program. When she showed it in the room in that way, I was fairly confident that we were getting to what the root of some of those issues were.
Being sober, I feel good, I have energy. Like, all the things that I thought them drugs were giving me and they weren't, like, I have it today. Like, I absolutely can positively say I have everything and anything I could want. I mean, obviously there's things that I'm like waiting and there's processes and this and that, but I am okay with me today. And that is like the best thing, so.
I watched her journey and I watched some of the layers be pulled back. I watched her come through significant challenges and significant turning points, and I watched her navigate those things successfully. And so we chose Ashlee because we wanted to celebrate what she had done, but I also chose Ashlee because I believe in who she's becoming. And so for us, it was a good choice because her walk with us was authentic. Her progress, you know, recovery is not linear. It doesn't, you know, you can't draw this straight line to it. But we've watched her navigate some of the turns and continue to just really be a productive member of society and really growing as a person. So we celebrate where she's been, and we just really celebrate who she's becoming.
I mean, I would like to thank everybody, especially my family, for sitting back and being there, no matter what I put them through, how I put them through it. Like, no matter what, in the end, they've always been there. And, you know, I never could see it or appreciate it then, but they really truly have unconditional love for me. And now that I've gotten through it all, it's like I really see it, and it's like I can't believe it sometimes. I'm like, why were you there, you know? But I really want to thank them for putting up with me through it all and still loving me through it all. And then as far as everybody at the Grace House and the Erie City Mission, I mean, same thing. I want to thank every single one of them because, you know, they didn't have to do what they did or be where they were. You know, they made that choice, and it's an amazing choice that they've made because they've given up so much to help. And it's just, I thank them. If it wasn't for them, I don't believe I could be where I am today.